If you feel behind as an artist, I want you to hear this clearly. That feeling didn't come from truth. It came from comparison. Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast, where artists of all kinds come to fuel their passion, sharpen their skills, and thrive in their creative lives. I'm your host, Lara life and creativity coach and fellow artist, here to support you on your artistic journey. Whether you're a performer, writer, visual artist, or any kind of artist, this is the space for real talk, practical advice, and inspiring stories. Subscribe and join us each week for more inspiration and actionable insights to fuel your artistry. Let's dive in and get inspired. Welcome to Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist. I'm Lara, life and creativity coach, professional performer, and author of Audacious Artistry. And in this episode, we're talking about something that almost every artist carries quietly: the feeling that you're late, behind, missed it, or running out of time. This episode isn't about motivation, although it is motivating. It's about dismantling a story that's been shaping how artists measure themselves, often without questioning whether it's even true. Before we go any further, I want to name why this conversation matters. My upcoming book, Audacious Artistry, Reclaim Your Creative Identity and Thrive in a Saturated World, is written for artists who feel like everyone else is ahead, more visible, more established, more chosen. The book challenges the idea that creative worth is tied to age, speed, or linear success, and it helps artists rebuild identity from the inside out with a framework that teaches you how to show up in the right way. If this topic already hits close to home, you can pre-order the book now at larabiancapilcher.com/book or all the major book sellers around the world. Waterstones in England, for example, Barnes & Noble if you're in America, other places in Europe, Australia, Blackwell's, there's Amazon. You just have a look for Audacious Artistry and you will find it, or head to larabiancapilcher.com/book. Now, here's what I hear constantly from artists, dancers, actors, singers, writers, visual artists. I should be further along by now. I'm behind everyone else, or I missed my moment. What makes this belief painful isn't just the thought, it's how convincing it feels. Because when you look around, everyone else seems booked, published, promoted, or applauded, more likes, more views, more ahead. And when your life doesn't match that picture, the conclusion feels obvious. I must be late. But here's the truth. Most artists don't even realize out loud. That sense of being behind isn't a personal failure. It's what happens when industrial timelines are applied to human creativity. Yes, I am talking about this world and the timelines that do not fit the science of human creativity at all. So let's reframe, because the idea of a correct timeline comes from systems built for efficiency and predictability, not meaning, identity, or expression. Creativity doesn't move in straight lines. It actually moves in cycles. Visible output is often preceded by long seasons of learning, absorbing, surviving, caregiving, working other jobs, or simply living. And comparison collapses that context entirely. For example, you might be a musician who works in this cycle of inspiration and writing and putting up new album into the world, and it's all about that. It's a cycle, and then you launch it, but then you go into a long season of learning, absorbing, surviving, maybe caregiving, working other jobs, simply living, whatever it is. So we need to be careful, because comparison collapses this context. When you compare your middle to someone else's highlight, your nervous system reads it as evidence that you're falling behind even when you're not. There's no universal artist timeline, only individual creative seasons. Now, I understand the competitive world deeply. I worked so hard in London for years, training at the top levels with the top coaches. I understand what it's like to be in a competitive world. I know what it's like to get traditionally published and how fiercely competitive it was to even get my book into the world. But I am talking about creativity. There is no universal artist timeline, only individual creative seasons. And this is important because when you're caught in the loop of comparison and world's industrial timelines, you will continue to fight against your actual creative flow, the flow that will lead to your personal projects being successful. Of course, success is a conversation for another day. What does that look like? But actually completing is what I'm talking about. Your creative project, actually finishing something, actually having the audacity to create at all. That creativity is what we're talking about. That creativity is behind the great artists of our world because they created something that we look to and we look up to. So if timeline pressure has been quietly shaping how you see yourself, I want to offer you something supportive. I've created a free 30-minute Artist Momentum Reset Masterclass. It's a mindset masterclass, a pre-recorded video you can watch in your own time. It's got a study with it and you can download that with it. It's totally free. It helps artists understand why working hard still feels empty and how to stop waiting for permission and how to rebuild momentum without burning out. There's no live call and no pressure, and you can access it at larabiancapilcher.com/masterclass. Now, here's the reframe I want you to hold. Being behind assumes there is a single path everyone is meant to follow. And we do this when we move to Hollywood, or we move to Nashville, or we move to London West End, or we move to Atlanta, or whatever it is. We feel like here is what it should look like, and therefore I am behind. And the reframe I want you to really carefully hold is that being behind assumes there is a single path everyone is meant to follow. There isn't. Some artists peak early, some peak late, some disappear and return transformed, some build quietly for decades. And what derails artists isn't time, it's internalized pressure and shame. When you believe you're late, you rush. When you rush, you disconnect. And disconnected art rarely lasts. Your work doesn't need to catch up. It needs to come from where you actually are and the life you are living, not the life you think you're supposed to be living. So for your Creative Spark challenge this week, the little challenge you get every episode from me, this week replace I'm behind with I'm in my season. And this season has a purpose, because every season has a purpose. So replace the thought I'm behind with I'm in my season, and this season has a purpose. Now, I'm aware for some of you, you will wrestle with that statement because there's grief. And by all means, let that grief be felt. Because when you grieve, you are able to accept and you are able to move into a place of better flow in your creativity. The grief comes from the life you thought you would have, the timeline you thought you would have, the version of yourself that for some reason you think you are supposed to be. Grieve that if you're not there, and if it hasn't happened that way for you. This week, replace that with I'm in my season, and this season has a purpose. And one quick note before we close. If creative pressure is intersecting with relationships or emotional connection, I host another podcast with my husband called Marriage, Intimacy and Healing, but it's helpful for all relationships. It's a space for honest conversations about closeness, relationships during demanding seasons and all seasons of life, and you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an inspiring conversation or actionable insight. You can read the show notes and learn more at larabiancapilcher.com. And be sure to share this episode with fellow artists who could use a little extra inspiration. Until next time, keep creating, stay audacious, and remember, your artistry matters.